Anthropic has developed an artificial intelligence model capable of revolutionizing cybersecurity. But upon announcing it, they made an unusual decision. They locked the model away and distributed the keys to only a few companies. Why? According to Anthropic, Claude Mythos Preview would be too dangerous to fall into the hands of the general public. In the startup's words, the consequences for economies, public safety, and national security could be severe. And all of this happened in the midst of a clash between the startup and the United States government, which involved precisely the limits of artificial intelligence. The tug-of-war began when Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei, declared that he could not, in good conscience, comply with the Pentagon's demands. The Department of Defense demanded the removal of safeguards from Claude, the company's AI model, against mass domestic surveillance and use in autonomous lethal weapons. We have another video explaining everything about the subject here on the channel, and it's linked in the description. Back to it. Claude Mythos Preview is an artificial intelligence model that is the most advanced ever developed by Dario Amodei's startup to date. It was announced alongside Project Glasswing, an initiative led by Anthropic in partnership with big tech companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Nvidia. In short, it's a consortium created to test the model in secret. We haven't trained it specifically to be good at cyber, we trained it to be good at code, but as a side effect of being good at code, it's also good at cyber. If LLMs are now able to write code at the level of some of the greatest software developers in the world, it can also be used to find bugs and exploit that software equally effectively. To what extent does this announcement hold up? And to what extent is it a marketing move by Anthropic? Olhar Digital dove into the topic and spoke with experts to explain to you what actually matters. I invite you now to leave a like and subscribe here to our channel. Help strengthen the community that understands technology the most in Brazil. Today, our topic is Mythos. But what does this AI actually do? Launched in April, the model operates as if it were an experienced software engineer. To give you an idea, it can identify subtle bugs and correct its own errors. According to Anthropic, Mythos Preview found thousands of high-severity vulnerabilities, including some in major operating systems and browsers. So far, the startup has released a fraction of what it claims has been found by the model. The architecture could facilitate, in theory, more sophisticated attacks on the global financial system. The relevance of the topic increased after the governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, stated that Mythos could reveal the entire cyber risk landscape and expand threats to systems used by banks. Well, first, it's important to separate things. Since we don't have access to Mythos for testing, we must measure the progress the tool brings using the information available. And yes, by all accounts, we're looking at a major technological breakthrough in cybersecurity. Fabrizio Carraro, an IT program manager, AI specialist, and columnist for Olhar Digital, analyzed the system card released by the company. We're talking about a 245-page document where Anthropic details its tests and benchmarks.
It really showed a very, very significant evolution compared to its predecessor, which is the Opus 4.6. Looking at it, for example, some of the most famous programming benchmarks are SWE Bench Pro and SWE Bench Verified. Both are right there. In Verified, Opus 4.6 was right around 80%. In Mythos, it reached 94%, and anything above 90 is considered noise. So if you hit 90, 91, or 92, we consider that benchmark saturated, and we have to switch to another one, because the rest is just detail, very specific formatting issues. It's not even worth optimizing the model's intelligence for that. In the other one, SWE Bench Pro, which is a bit more complicated and complex, the predecessor, Opus 4.6, had 53%, while Mythos reached 78%. It's truly a massive leap forward. Also, something else to consider, they launched the Mythos model as part of what they called Project Glasswing, which means glass wings, a rather poetic name, in partnership with other tech companies, firms heavily focused on hackable products or cybersecurity, like Google and Cisco, who used the model after Anthropic granted them access, and they endorsed it. So we can believe that this model really represents a major leap in quality compared to Opus 4.6. And they also included other analyses there. showing it found several errors and vulnerabilities that have existed for 10 or 20 years in the code of certain products, even in hardware and firmware that we use every day. For instance, the Linux kernel, which is used in all the world's servers, or at least almost all the relevant ones. On the other hand, having read the model's system card in other non-coding benchmarks, like structured problems, PhD level problems, or general knowledge, it didn't improve all that much. It improved by maybe 2%, 5%, at most 10%.
Understanding that this is significant technological progress, let's move to the second stage, using the information we have to see if Mythos poses any risks. According to Anthropic, this AI can outperform almost all humans, except for the most highly skilled, at identifying and exploiting software vulnerabilities. Hence the perceived danger in a broad release of Mythos. After all, it could be used as a shield, but also as a weapon. And it's precisely in this aspect that we need to pay double attention, not only to Mythos, but to any artificial intelligence. That's what Roberto Penispinelli explains, a physicist from USP with a specialty in machine learning from Stanford University and also a columnist for Olhar Digital.
Unlike conventional computer code, where you can go in and see exactly what it does, what it doesn't do, if there's a bug or not, artificial intelligence doesn't work like that. It's a black box. We train it in activities, but we don't know, in the end, all the capabilities it has. We expect these capabilities to be related to the training. So you expose it to training, and in the end, it performs better in something associated. So you put text in, it predicts the next text. You put images in, it generates a new image. The problem is that it can develop and it can end up creating capabilities beyond those of the training, and we simply don't know. There's no safe test you can do to find out. It could be that you tested, but in the future, at some point, it'll perform in some other activity you never had an idea about. So when Anthropic turns around and says, look, this model's too dangerous for us to release, it's because in the testing phase, it already did some of the things Anthropic wasn't expecting. So it could be that it develops other, even more different capabilities, which might be risky. So in the case of the Mythos model, it managed during the testing phase to escape the container, to escape the box it was placed in. And once it got out, it managed to send a message to the researcher saying, "Hi, I'm out here." So that already raised an alert.
An analysis by the UK's AI Security Institute, which had early access to the model, found that Anthropic's artificial intelligence performed advanced hacking tasks in 73% of attempts. Until April, no artificial intelligence could do that. But here comes the catch to this story. In the tests, Mythos faced weak software defenses. Therefore, the Institute concluded that although it's a powerful model, the biggest threat from Mythos is against vulnerable systems without major defenses. In an interview with Scientific American, Ciaran Martin, a professor at Oxford University, compared the scenario to a striker scoring a goal against the world's worst goalkeeper. Martin is the former CEO of the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre. Long story short, independent evaluations suggest there are risks, but it's more limited than Anthropic implied in its communications about Mythos. So, do you see how the information is still a bit hazy? So are we talking about a real and safe advance of promising but dangerous technology, or a marketing move by Anthropic? Or even a little bit of each? Remember when we said that instead of releasing Mythos to the general public, Anthropic granted access to companies through Project Lastwing? The startup described this initiative as an effort to protect the world's most crucial software. Among the tech companies that agreed to participate in the project are firms with a strong focus on cybersecurity. For Roberto Penispinelli, given the uncertainty, Anthropic acted correctly, but precautions are still necessary.
I think Anthropic in this case acted in a responsible manner. They realized the potential power of problems this model could generate and said, so I won't release it. I'll try to give some advantage to these companies to protect themselves first. Use this software, this AI, to plug the holes, fix the problems. But I don't think that's going to solve it. As much as this is cool of Anthropic, so congrats, they didn't release it, they went and tried to act responsibly, but to fix all of this, all these problems, we're talking about things so structural, refactoring a lot of code, swapping it out. It's a lot of resources that have to be used, and sometimes it's not even possible, because you can't. Sometimes there are systems you can't take offline to apply the necessary security, because sometimes it's something so structural that you have to start from scratch, change something that just isn't possible like that. So I don't think it's going to solve it.
Since many independent analysts and cybersecurity experts haven't been able to test Mythos for themselves yet, some remain skeptical about the model's performance. Anthropic wants to position itself as the leading artificial intelligence company focused on business, programming, and cybersecurity. This while competing with giants like OpenAI, the developer of ChatGPT, for example.
Anthropic, as I said, a company that has competitors. There's OpenAI, there's Google, there's xAI, which has now been bought by Elon Musk's SpaceX, Meta, which is returning to the LLM game. It wants to show itself as a powerful company, or if not, the company that will develop business and programming artificial intelligence and that will reach AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which will be capable of doing everything a human being is capable of. At the same time, they have much less money, much less computing power than their competitors. With all this at stake, and with them being this company that wants to do an IPO, which is to go public on the stock market this year still, probably, and wants to be the first, they want to go before OpenAI, there's a very large marketing side too, that this model is good. It's probably very good. It's much better than its predecessor, especially for these coding tasks. It will be good for sure at finding code vulnerabilities. But this thing of you saying, look, yeah, it's super dangerous, we're not going to release it to anyone, to the general public, because we're afraid of everything that could be created with it, of how it would cause chaos, has a very large marketing side too. At the same time, it's excellent, wonderful for code, for finding vulnerabilities, but there's also a very large marketing side of them selling themselves as we are or we're at the top of the wave. United States government, governments of other countries, companies that, programming companies, companies of anything, of products, use our models because we can give early access to you to test the state of the art or the next state of the art when it's released, that the rest of mortals won't have this access. And this part about being too dangerous also fits into the marketing side, where they want to sell themselves really well. Both of those things can be true at the same time.
With everything we've seen, I think we can sum it up like this. Anthropic has a more alarmist tone, which moved companies and led the financial system to take precautions. When in doubt, the technology needs to be studied, tested, and protected, but we can't ignore the scenario of fierce competition in our analysis. After all, the startup gained a lot of visibility with all of this. Whether it's marketing, a revolutionary technology, or a technology with the potential to cause damage in the wrong hands, there's only one way out: global regulation on the use of AI. After all, Anthropic's artificial intelligence gained attention, but the concern isn't limited to them.
I think we need to have this regulation, a global regulation on how AI should be used and everyone's responsibilities. Society has to demand that AI can only enter systems that are secure. And so, if you can't do that, then you can't do it. It's sort of like an atomic bomb, a scenario where people are developing things with nuclear energy, and then you don't regulate anything, and okay, look, every now and then someone will manage to make an atomic bomb in their backyard and put everyone at risk. No! First, you understand that the thing is very powerful. You regulate it, you ensure that companies and scientists, and yes, research is important for that. In general, scientists have a greater ethical concern, a greater ethical integrity than companies, but everyone has to be regulated in this sense. So you're going to do research, you're going to develop a product. You need to have accountability. You need to have an understanding of it and ensure that what you're putting out is safe. If not, you have to answer for it. This very important layer of artificial intelligence regulation is missing.
And if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and comment down below which topic you'd like to see us dive into next on Olhar Digital Specials. The future happens here first.